Been 10 out of 10 for quality from Dave Gilbert.
Stephen Maguire, he could take some stopping in this year's World Championship.
Jack Jones has showed so much grit and determination.
Judd Trump, no stress, moves into the quarter-final.
Kyron Wilson has made easy work of this match.
Unbelievable. The rocket has lifted off early.
Good evening to you from the Crucible Theatre. 1 week from tonight, the famous old trophy will be claimed by our champion. And you've just seen the faces of the 6 men who've already assured themselves of safe passage into the quarter-finals of this great event, the Kazoo World Championship. Now, tonight, there'll be so much more tension to soak up and to savour as we fill the 2 remaining berths. But you know, it's been a very busy day already, with Messrs O'Sullivan and Wilson already through.
Kyron Wilson started this match in style, and he's gone on to take it very comfortable in the end by 13 frames to 6.
I wasn't particularly pleased with how I played, to be honest with you, but obviously you need to kind of, you know, keep being resilient even when sessions aren't quite going your way in terms of performance. If you keep putting the frames on the board, obviously the name of the game is to obviously get into the next round. So yeah, pleased with that win. It's obviously a very flattering score line, so yeah, chuffed.
I'm certain Ryan will wish him all the best for the rest of the tournament. Ronnie O'Sullivan through to the quarter-final, comfortably, 13 frames to 7.
3 weeks ago, I'd have come here, I probably wouldn't have got through that match. I'd have probably got beaten now. I think I had, you know, a bit more to my game to withstand Ryan. You know, because Ryan played some good safety. He scored well at times. You know, he was tough to sort of pin down. You know, and but there were spells where I got on top of him and, you know, went on, you know, won a few frames on the bounce and just kind of eked out a bit of a lead, then consolidated, and then again had a 2 or 3 frame burst, and yeah, that was pretty much the story of the match, you know.
Yeah, the story of the match indeed, and Ken Doherty's been watching all of our match action today. We're just reacquainting him with the trophy he won in 1997. Where's your name?
Just down here.
Just there, just there.
It was Stephen, actually, I beat in the finals.
Yeah, that's right, he's just up there. Let's talk about the man who's very much favourite to lift it again for an 8th time, and that's Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yeah. Ken, he looked so comfortable. Still laughing at Stephen.
7 times, you say 7 times.
Is that something like that?
Yeah.
He looks so comfortable at the moment, Ronnie, doesn't it? And tell us about the changes that he's effecting with his coach, Nick Barrow. How do you think that's translating on the table for him?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play his imperious usual best, but he's obviously found a sort of new hunger, a new appetite, and he's sort of bigging himself up, which is sort of completely different to the Ronnie O'Sullivan of old. So it's good signs for Ronnie O'Sullivan, for sure. Maybe not so good signs for the other players, but that remains to be seen. Ryan Day didn't really sort of push him enough. He wasn't pushed, obviously, in the first round. He's into the quarterfinals, totally unscathed, and lots left in the tank for sure. In
his interview with Rob afterwards, he said, when the game is hard, so is my life. And that he talked about his 2 years in the doldrums, talking openly about anxiety and how he'd cope with it. But he's an open book here. Yeah. He seems much more relaxed around things, doesn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Much more relaxed, and that may reflect, you know, for his play on the table. It hasn't yet. I don't think he's played his best, but he's into the quarterfinals, as he says, and, you know, there's much more to come from him, I think.
And a brief word about Kyron Wilson. Steve Davis has been following this man, says he's a different player here this year. Why?
Yeah, he's a different player. Well, he seems more sort of positive. Not so much sort of procrastination when he's playing around the table. He seems to be going for his shots a lot more. And, yeah, speed it up a little bit is quite noticeable as well. And obviously, you know, that has sort of derived a lot of confidence for him.
Okay. And so to the two remaining second-round matches, and this is the status of both of them as we come in here this evening. Quality all-qualifier contest, Stuart Bingham, the champion 9 years ago, and the super-talented Jack Lisowski, Bingham 9-7 ahead. Same scoreline in the other heavyweight Alan Higgins match. Northern Ireland's Alan strung together 4 frames in a row yesterday afternoon to grab that precious advantage in what is their 6th meeting of the season. And these are the two tightest matches in the second round.
Yeah.
Jack Lisowski seemed in an awful rush yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to affect his thoughts overnight, and what price experience for Stuart Bingham?
Yeah, Stuart Bingham's playing really, really well. But Jack Lisowski has had a lot of chances. He was down to 14 seconds a shot at one stage yesterday. He just has to take a little bit more time, be a little bit more mindful of his work. This is obviously, you know, the last session, last chance saloon for him. But he's up against a man who's come back to form. Of course, he's won this trophy. He's been here, done it. And experience counts for a lot here. There's no doubt about that.
And in the other match, Ken, a really decisive move yesterday afternoon on Sunday, because if you were watching it, you'll know that Alan, from 5-7 behind, in a pretty cagey, deliberate game, he went on a roll in that session, 4 in a row, all 70-plus breaks. What did Mark do to effect the change in that?
Yeah, well, we were talking in the studio, weren't we? Because John was totally outclassing him. He was trying to beat John, a grandmaster at match play, and I think when he went 7-5 down, he sort of realised that he couldn't do that. He came back out, he sort of was a lot more positive, he started scoring and started going for his shots, and of course he made 4 wonderful frames with 4 70-plus breaks. He was a lot more, he has to be more positive and play like that a little bit more, I think.
Ken, thank you so much. That's the scene backstage. All 4 players steadying themselves backstage for another crucible test. And they're about to come under the starting orders of MC Rob Walker.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We started a week ago Saturday with 32 of the finest players on the planet. And by the end of tonight, only 8 will remain. So far, 2 champions, a finalist and 3 qualifiers have made the quarters. Time to find out who'll be joining them here at the climax of Day 10 at the Kazoo World Snooker Championship. Please welcome a player closing in on a 5th Crucible quarter-final, 9 years after lifting the big one in spectacular style. He looks to be right back to his break-building best. Winner of 6 ranking titles in all, Stuart Ball Run Bingham. And his opponent, a player who has rediscovered his love of the game, and it showed with his first round win over Ding in a brilliant decider. Without doubt, one of the most exciting players of his generation. Bidding for his 2nd Crucible quarter-final, the jackpot, Jack Lisowski. And now to one of the all-time greats, bidding for an 18th Crucible quarter-final 28 years after his first. 4 times a champion of the world, the 3rd most decorated player in history, the pride of Scotland, the Wizard of Wishaw, John Higgins. With 6 big titles in the last 2 years, he is without doubt one of this season's outstanding performers. 4 frames away from a 6th Crucible quarter-final. Provisional world number 1, the pride of Northern Ireland, Mark the Pistol Allen.
So the choice is yours tonight. Table 2, Lazowski Bingham live on the Red Button iPlayer and BBC Sport app. The next hour here on BBC 2, we've got Allen against Higgins, and moving to BBC 4 from 8. And so it's good evening to our world champion Stephen Hendry, who's already had a lot to say tonight, off mic anyway, I suspect. And Dennis Taylor. Good evening to you both, fellas.
Good evening.